The origin of early Filipinos. Do you know our ancestors? Do you know where they came from? Just like the origin of the Philippines, there are also many stories, myths, and legends that surround the origin of the early Filipinos. There are also lots of theories that explain the origin of our ancestors. First we have wave migration theory. According to this theory by archaeologist Henry Otley Beyer, the first group of people who arrived in the Philippines were the Negritos. They were believed to have come from some parts of Asia and traveled through land bridges. They were unable to return to where they came from because the land bridges submerged when the ice melted and caused the rise of the sea level during the glacial period. The Negritos settled in the country. They were nomadic and survived by hunting and fishing. They were believed to be the ancestors of the Itis of Zambales and Panay. The Negritos were followed by the Indonesians who came from China and Indochina. Compared to the Negritos, they had a more advanced culture. They lived in permanent houses, planted crops, and used tools. They were believed to be the ancestors of the Ifugao, Kalingas, Mangyans, Tegbanuas, Manobas, and other groups in Mindanao. The last group of settlers were the Malays. They lived in organized communities, wore clothes, and used weapons and tools. They were believed to be the ancestors of the Tagalogs, Bicolanos, Batangueños, Visayans, and other Muslim and Christian groups in Mindanao. Second is the Austronesian migration theory. According to the Australian archaeologist Peter Bellwood, the first group of people who settled in the Philippines were the Austronesians. They came from China and reached Taiwan in 3500 BCE and then arrived in the Philippines in 3000 BCE. The migration spread to Sumatra and Java in 2000 BCE, New Guinea in 1500 BCE, Samoa in 1200 BCE, and Madagascar in 500 CE. The theory explains the similarities in language, culture, and physical features of the people in Asia and the Pacific. Many scholars believe that Austronesians are mixtures of Aboriginal people, Papuans, Mongolians, and Negritos. Austronesians have short faces, high skulls, medium broad noses, and almond-shaped eyes. The common heritage we share with the Austronesians are the ancient art style, tattooing, use of small boats or banca, and respect for the family and ancestors. Third is the core population theory. Based on the theory of the anthropologist Felipe Landa Chicano, the Filipino society developed as a single unitary system. Filipino culture developed from within the country and not as a part of Southeast Asia. He disproved Bayer's wave migration theory for its lack of evidence. According to Chicano, the unwritten history of the Philippines is divided into 4 periods: formative, incipient, emergent, and Baranganic. During the formative period, the Filipinos were nomadic and depended only on nature for their needs. They were engaged in making stone tools, utensils, and weapons. They gradually learned how to grind and polish stone tools. They also practiced the art of pottery and horticulture. The incipient period was marked by the local manufacture of metal artifacts, the improvement of earthenware pottery, the acquisition of form and decorative techniques, and the beginning of long-distance trade as evidenced by the recovery of jade and glass ornaments in burial sites. During the emergent period, trade flourished and the system of writing was introduced. It was also during this time that the Filipino social organization became defined in terms of politics, economics, religion, and others. The Baranganic period was when the communities became known as barangays and became the centers of trade. Lastly, the Solheim's theory. The theory of Wilhelm Solheim IL, professor of archaeology at Harvard University, about the origin of the Filipinos is based on the theory of Landa Chicano. According to Solheim, the history of the Philippines is divided into 4 periods: archaic, incipient, formative, and emergent Filipino period. The archaic period started from the arrival of man on the islands until 5000 BCE. The incipient period was from 5000 BCE to 1000 BCE. Here, Solheim talks about the Nasanto, the maritime people who traveled from southern Mindanao in the Philippines and Indonesia to the north, ending in South China and passing through Taiwan. The formative period was from 1000 BCE to 500 CE and the emergent Filipino period was from 500 CE until 1521. Dr. Eusebio Dizon agrees that this theory might be the closest to the true origin of the early Filipinos, since the artifacts that were found in South China seem to have been created later than those found in the Philippines.